Hello everybody, my name is Jennifer Maker. Today we are making a paper butterfly heart canvas on the Great Maker Show and Tell. So Valentine's Day is fast approaching, and I thought it would be lovely to create a pretty heart from paper butterflies. I have a particular fondness for butterflies. One of my very first projects was this pop-up card, and then later I made this butterfly birdhouse, and they're both made out of paper, and they're so much fun. And there's just something about butterflies, isn't there? They spend most of their time being ordinary caterpillars, crawling about on the ground, chained to earth just like most of us. And then something miraculous happens. They undergo the most startling transformation from a creepy crawly bug into a glorious explosion of flying color, spreading their wings and soaring high. It's really something special, and it underscores the amazing power of change for all of us. So this is my paper butterfly heart. And rather than have the butterflies form a perfect heart, I put some on the sides to create wings so my heart can soar. And that's one of the best things about this simple and fun project, because there's really no specific way that you need to place your butterflies on your canvas. Other than the heart shape, I put these butterflies on in random directions and distances apart. And there are other ways to arrange these butterflies as well. And I'm going to show you some ideas in this video. So the real beauty of this butterfly heart is that you don't actually need a lot of stuff to make it. All you really need is about 4 to 5 sheets of paper. I'm using several sheets of paper from this Seafoam green pack that I got at Michael's. And I cut out my butterflies, and there's about 200 300 of them on here using my Cricut cutting machine. But you could also use scissors, of course, though it's going to take probably quite a bit longer. And there's actually 4 different kinds of butterflies in this heart. There's blue morphos, emerald swallowtails, monarchs, and scarlet peacocks. And all of the butterfly designs are free on my blog for you to use, of course. You'll also need a canvas or a piece of board or a sign or whatever to attach your butterflies to. I'm using a 16 by 20 inch framed canvas, and I didn't paint it or prepare it in any way. I simply took it out of its packaging and I went to town. And finally, you're going to need a way to attach your butterflies to your canvas. You all had several different ideas on how you might attach your butterflies, so I thought I would experiment with 3 different methods. Glue dots, raised zots, and glue. And I'm going to show you which method turned out to be the fastest and most reliable in this video. So let me show you how to cut out the butterflies, and then we will get started. Your first step is to find your butterflies, and I have some free ones for you. You'll find my free butterfly files over on my blog at jennifermaker.com. So to locate the files themselves, click on Libraries, and then once you're on that page, scroll down and look for the link that says Enter the Free Resource Library. Click that, and you'll want to enter the password that I sent you an email when you signed up free for my site. And once you're inside the library, you'll want to search for Butterfly Heart Canvas, or just the word butterfly. Once you find that, go ahead and click the link, and it will download, and you'll need to unzip it so that you can access the files inside. So here we have the unzipped file, and we can see all the files inside, and the SVG is the one I want to upload over at Cricut Design Space. So click on New Project and click Upload, and then click Upload Image and Browse, and look for the SVG file that you downloaded inside that zip folder. And once you've got it, make sure it's the SVG file, click Open. And it might take a little while to upload because there's a lot of butterflies in this file. I've got everything all set up for you. But once it's there, go ahead and select it and then click Insert Image. You'll see it on your canvas. Now, it is all ready to go right now. And you can go ahead and just click Make It if you are ready to cut. But if you want to customize this in any way, you can. You click Ungroup over on the right side. You can access each layer individually, and you can show and hide things. You can, because you'll see here there's 4 different styles of butterflies, and you may not want to cut out all 4. You might want to have just one butterfly silhouette style. And if you can do that if you want. To duplicate the layer, you're just going to right click on the butterflies and select duplicate, and that will give you another copy, and you can do that again so you have a full sheet of butterflies when you cut. But I want to go ahead and cut out all the butterflies, so I'm going to click undo so we can go right back to where we were with the butterflies and the big heart. That heart is our template, by the way, for our canvas. And so here we are in our mat preview page. We see our big heart ready to cut out on 12 by 12 inch paper. You can, of course, change the size of that if you have a smaller canvas than I do. And then we also have our second mat, which is our butterflies. Now this defaults to the 12 inch by 12 inch size, but it actually will fit on an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper. And I'm going to go ahead and change that so that you can see that it does fit. Now what I recommend that you do is go ahead and send this to your Cricut and cut out the heart first and then cut out the butterflies. And you can then keep cutting out butterflies so that you have as many as you need. So I cut out 4 sheets of butterflies for my 16 by 20 inch canvas, and I had extras when I was done. You might be able to get away with just 3 sheets of butterflies. It really kind of depends on the size of your project. It also depends on if you're going for the ombre look that I have, where it goes from a darker color to a lighter color. And in that case, you're going to want to have a selection of colors. So go ahead and get this all set up. And if you're using medium cardstock, which is all I used, select that from your materials. And I always like to choose more pressure because I like to have that nice clean cut. All right, so I'm going to go cut out my butterflies. All right, so here is a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. I've already cut my heart, so you can't see that part, but I'm just going to go ahead and load that in there. And it's going to cut, it takes about 10 minutes to cut a full sheet of butterflies. So just so that you can budget your time based on how many butterflies you want to cut out. But the awesome thing about the Cricut, of course, is that's doing all that hard work cutting it for us. Because it would take quite a while to cut these out with scissors, which you absolutely can do. It just would take a while. If you do that, definitely go for the simpler of the 4 butterfly shapes that I have. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. I think I like having the variety of butterfly shapes on my canvas. I thought it looked pretty awesome. Okay, so it's done. So let's click that unload button on the Cricut, and I will show you what they look like. So there's a full sheet of butterflies all cut out and ready for us to start folding, because our next step is to fold the butterflies in preparation for putting onto the canvas. All right, so I've cut out 4 different colors ranging from like a turquoise blue to a light teal, and I am going to pre-fold them. Now you might want to just fold them as you take them off of your cutting mat, or you might want to fold them as you're putting them on your canvas, but I thought it might go a little quicker if I pre-folded all of my butterflies first. And folding is so easy because the wings naturally will want to fold right in the middle. So you really just pick it up and pinch it between your fingers and then toss it back onto your pile. That's all you really have to do. So that's why I say you certainly could simply fold your butterfly as you take it off your mat, or fold your butterfly as you're putting it onto your canvas. Whatever works best for you. Okay, so we're going to try 3 different methods. I'm going to try the small glue dots. The small dots, they're both 3/16 of an inch, so they're really quite small. And of course, just regular old tacky glue. And we're going to see which one really works the best for this process. So I'm going to move all of my butterflies out of the way and get out my canvas. I haven't done anything to prepare this canvas at all. It's just right out of the packaging. And I'm going to get out my ruler and measure the width of this canvas, which is 20 inches. And I'm going to mark it and make sure that my heart is right in the middle at 10 inches so that I have my picture actually centered on my canvas, because that would be a bummer to do all this work and not have it be centered. And you don't have to cut out this heart and use it as a template, and you can certainly make any other shape you want. But I thought I would include it in case you wanted to use it. So I just used a regular pencil. Now it's time to attach our butterflies to our canvas. And we're going to first try using our glue dots. So put a little glue dot on the bottom there. And all I'm doing is I'm starting at the bottom and I'm following the pencil line. I want that heart shape to be really clear. So I'm just setting it down right there, and I've got the wings following the pencil line. And I'm just gonna just keep going. I'm not gonna make the wings follow the pencil line every time, but I want to make sure my heart shape is very clear too. Otherwise, it's just placing them on in random directions, and you can overlap them a little bit or not at all. It really is up to you, right? This is really what there's really no rhyme or reason here. It's what looks good to you. And you can see here the glue dot dispenser is a little bit tricky because you have to get it right on the wing perfectly, and I'm struggling with it a little bit. I doubt this is going to be my favorite method of doing this. I mean, I do like that there's no mess. Once I put that butterfly on there, it's on there and there's no glue, coming around the edges or anything like that. That's nice. It's certainly clean and neat. It's just hard to get that glue dot on in just the right spot. All right, so let's try the Zots. Again, these are 3/16 inch Zots, and I'm just placing the butterfly right on the Zot and then peeling it off. So the advantage to the Zots over the glue dots is that it really is easier to get that the little adhesive sticker right in the position that it needs to be on my canvas. So between the glue dots and the Zots, I definitely prefer the Zots. But you can see how I'm randomly placing. I'm putting the adhesive on one of the wings, not always the same wing, but otherwise it's random. I'm going to use the tacky glue, and we're going to just try gluing it to see how well that works. So I could put it right on the canvas like this, but that leaves a lot of extra glue around the edges. I'm going to try just putting it on the back of the butterfly wing and see how well that works. So again, just placing the butterflies in random positions around, filling in the space. So the glue is actually faster than the glue dots or the Zots. And faster is good when you're talking about hundreds of butterflies. So I'm going to just stick with the glue and do the rest of this project in the glue. It's not really messy. I'm not really getting it on my fingers. And because this glue will dry clear, it's not an issue if there's a little extra that sneaks around the edges of the butterfly. I also really like the fact that if I need to reposition a butterfly, I can without any issue when I'm using the tacky glue. It's a little harder with the glue dots and the Zots because once they stick, they just kind of want to stay there, which is good. All right, so you can see how I'm putting the butterflies up above like this. I'm preparing to transition to my next color. So I have 4 colors for this project, and I want the next color to blend seamlessly together. So you can see this. So this here that I'm using right now, this is the next color. So I'm overlapping the two so that it's not a clear band, so we don't see a clear separation between the two colors. So by having some of the darker color bleeding into the lighter color like this and overlapping the two colors, we can have a smoother transition between the colors. And this only applies if you want to change colors, as I have done. And of course, you don't have to do this ombre effect, which is what I'm doing here. You could do rainbow colors or just complementary colors or anything like that. Again, there's no rules. It's really what you'd like to do. So I'm going to speed up the video here, and so we can go a little faster, and you can see how I continue to blend the butterflies as I move up the canvas and go from darker to lighter. All right, so there are now 3 colors of butterflies on this, and it's time to put in the 4th and final color that I'm using for my design. And I really wanted that top to be really well blended. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you the rest of this pattern, this rest of this design without gluing it down, because I want to show you some different ways that you could do this. If I don't glue it down, then I can play around with it some more. And you know, this is a really good tip, because if you're not quite sure what design you want to use, you can just go ahead and put them into position before you glue them, so you can decide if it's the right thing for you or not. So right now I'm going to put all of my butterflies into a perfect heart shape so that you can see how that looks. And again, I am just setting them in here in random positions. The only thing I really pay attention to is the edge of my shape. I want to make sure that I'm creating a clear edge so that you can see the shape that I'm attempting to make. And if you change the shape from a heart to something else, you're just going to want to stick to simple shapes like circles or squares, or maybe a rainbow shape, that kind of thing. Keep it simple. All right, so here we have a complete heart, which I think is very pretty. Now, another popular way of doing this butterfly heart is to have the butterflies flying in from one corner like this. So I have them coming in from the top left, and they're filling in the heart, right? So this is also really nice. But what I think that I like to do is create a winged heart, because the winged heart is my special symbol. I use it as my logo on my blog. I use it as my device in other places. So I'm going to have my butterflies flying in on both sides to create wings like this. And so I'll do it on both sides, and I'll try to keep them fairly well balanced. And maybe it doesn't look like wings to everybody. I'm not so sure that it will. But this is what's great about doing it like this, because I can set it up and I can position our butterflies before we glue them down. Then we have some, we can visualize our idea better and make some changes before we actually glue it down. But I actually really like this. I think it's sweet and simple, and it's totally me. And put a few extra butterflies around the edges. So I think I will go ahead and glue this all down now. Now that the glue is all dried, I want to compare how the glue does compared to the Zotz. Now if we look at where I put the glue dots and the Zotz, you'll see they're a little wobbly, whereas if we look at the glue areas, they're really quite stable. So I'm definitely saying use glue for this project. Skip the glue dots, skip the Zotz. All right, so I've glued everything down, and you can see the butterflies are flying in at the edges. And there's just one last thing we need to do. We need to erase our pencil lines. So if you drew a line for your shape, like I did for my heart, you want to just come back through and erase it. It erases really quite easily, so long as you used pencil. And you just want to lift up the butterfly wings on the edges to get to the pencil line. And that's really it. It's no big deal to do this at all. And when you're all finished erasing it, just pick it up and gently blow the little eraser bits away, and or brush them away gently. And then that is it. There is nothing else that you have to do to this other than perhaps sign your name to it, or you could add a message to it if you wanted. Or again, you could put it into a frame with glass over it and put a message on the glass, right? All right, I think that this turned out super sweet and beautiful. And by the way, I know everyone's going to ask me how long it took to make this. And the cutting was about 30 to 40 minutes, which was easy because I could just walk away for that. And the butterflies themselves were just about an hour. So it really was not a difficult or time-consuming process at all. This is one of those projects that's great for beginners. It doesn't have a lot of complicated cutting or assembly, but it's got a huge wow factor. So as it turned out, the best way to apply the paper butterflies was with glue. And the glue dots and the Zotz were really more time-consuming to apply, and they weren't as stable on the canvas. You can use Tacky glue as I have, but really any glue that dries clear should work just fine. Yeah, I love Tacky glue actually. And some folks like to put the paper butterfly heart in a shadow box with glass over it to keep the dust out. If you do that, you can also put vinyl on the glass with a name or a sweet message or a quote or whatever. Or you could just also put some text down in the corner of your canvas as well. If you have any questions at all about making this project, please leave a comment below or post over in my amazing Facebook group at jennifermaker.com/cricketcrafters. And if you want to make more paper butterflies, you'll find tutorials and free patterns for both my pop-up butterfly card and my paper butterfly birdhouse over on my blog at jennifermaker.com. Like, isn't this awesome? I mean, the wings flutter and everything. So I think that's it for today. Remember, if you can tell me what you want to make, I can show you how to make it. Until next time.